What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be another contest entry video, but with a little bit of show and tell as well, which are the best kinds. This is a contest entry for Jack over at the Vinyl Martini. Of course, I will have all of his information below. And what I will say is this. This is a cool contest. I mean, there's a lot of contests that go on in the sort of vinyl community. You know, people pushing for a certain number of subscribers or, you know, anything else in the world. Now, this one's a little bit different though. Jack is pushing for 600 subscribers, which is amazing. But with this, with the prize, to me, that's really what the important thing is, because most of these contests come with some sort of prize, whether it's a record or a gift card or whatever. Jack's a little bit different. Jack is going to show his, philanthropic side, and the winner is going to end up getting a donation from Jack to the nonprofit or volunteer agency service industry of their choice. So I just think that is the coolest thing, and that alone makes me want to enter this contest, because I just think that's the coolest thing that's where he's putting his money towards, and something I think we all should get behind. So shout out to you, Jack. I mean, I will say this too, like, Jack to me is somebody who I'm a big fan of his channel. He's someone who does this right. I know that sounds so like trite and just like meh, but he just seems so genuine and kind in everything that he does, and he's just awesome. So Jack, this one's for you, man, and just thanks for all you do, and best of luck pushing towards that 600, and thanks for doing this contest. I just think it's awesome. So it's a pretty easy, basic contest. The first is a shout out to smaller YouTube channels that, you know, deserve more subs or whatever it is. So the two I'm going to shout out, I mean, there are so many, and, you know, we shout out whoever we can when we can, but the two I'm going to shout out are my boy, Anthony Gambler 812, but Gambler is spelled without vowels. So that is GMBLR 812. He's up in the Boston area. I've said this to him. I'll say it again live to all of you. Like, if I needed a wing, I feel like Anthony would be the best wingman ever. Like, I want to go out and just party. I want to go on the town with Anthony. I just want to smoke cigars and drink and just have an amazing time. And like, he would find me somebody. He would be the best wingman ever. So Anthony, like, this is for you, man. Go subscribe to Anthony. He's the best. Check him out. The second channel I want to shout out is my boy, Joe, up in Regina, Saskatchewan, up there in Canada, and that's Joe at Racer Records. So Joe's awesome. He is cranking out a ton of amazing content. He's no shortage of creative ideas, which I absolutely love about that. And Joe has a past history in like radio DJing, which you can totally tell. I love the way he talks about music. I love the way he talks about stories in the music. Again, no shortage of creative ideas. And Joe's just awesome. So yeah, Joe over at Racer Records, absolutely amazing. And Anthony at Gambler 812, absolutely amazing. Second part of the contest is just to show a discography of a band or an artist, and maybe one that isn't shown as much. So this is a short discography of a band that I don't feel is talked about enough. I love this band. I think they're not talked about enough, and so maybe more people will talk about it. The band I'm going to talk about and show a couple records from is a British band, sort of entered the scene in the early to mid 70s. Kind of started as like a glam rock band, and then a little bit later started really infusing some of the art rock tendencies, a little bit of progressive rock tendencies, and then towards the end of their career into the mid to late 70s, really started introducing some new wave, in some pop, a little bit more of that sort of accessible side of what was to come in the late 70s, especially in England. And the band that I am talking about is led by the great Bill Nelson, and that is Be-Bop Deluxe. I think a band name that probably isn't great for what they do. I think this, you know, when you hear Be-Bop Deluxe, you're like, oh, kind of like, you know, is this like a bluesy, rootsy, you know, sort of boogie band? No, they're a lot more than that. So this is their debut, Axe Victim. This came out in 1974. They're on the Harvest label out of the UK, that subsidiary of EMI. But this, I will say, this is an amazing record, but it's a little bit different. After this, they would completely sort of get rid of most of their lineup with the exception of Bill Nelson. who has always been lead guitar, lead singer. They've had some other sort of background vocalists that would take lead on a couple songs, but really this was always a band that was led by Bill Nelson. This definitely has that sort of heavier, but heavier in like a glam rock type of way, less polished than what would come here in a little bit, maybe less artsy, but still, this is probably their heaviest record. An amazing album cover, by the way. Let's take a look at that. But yeah, this is awesome stuff. Their debut from '74, Axe Victim. It's progressive, it's poppy, it's artsy, it's glammy. It's just awesome stuff. So yeah, that's their debut. After that, the next year, they really started, I think, honing on their sound a little bit more. They changed around a few members. And so the next one that they released is called Futurama. I think this is coming up as a Record Store Day reissue this year. Yeah, again, new lineup, bringing in some new people. Now they're starting to infuse more of the artsy stuff, more of the progressive poppier stuff, more hooks, some more patchy keyboard laden stuff here and there. But still, this was a band that was all about Bill Nelson, and I'll continue to talk about. This guy is one of the unsung heroes of the guitar, an absolutely outstanding technical virtuoso of a guitarist that just isn't talked about. And I think that's because A, he fell into a band that was never huge, but B, because the music was not, it's like when you think about the best guitarists in the world, you think of, hard rock and heavy metal and blues. You don't think art rock, progressive pop. You don't really think about those types of genres as much, but Bill Nelson's an absolute freak. Goes again on that classic Yellow Harvest label. But this is Futurama. This is fantastic. This is probably, in my opinion, their second best record. And I'll talk about what I think their best record is next, which is Sunburst Finish. Another really cool album cover there. Sort of sensing the theme going on. This to me is where they really sort of hit their peak in terms of songwriting, the sound, this perfect mixture of kind of technical in terms of musicianship, but really accessible. It's poppy, it's artsy, it's leaning maybe a little tiny bit into what was going to be coming in the later 70s, but this to me is like the peak. If you're going to start, I think, with a Be-Bop Deluxe album, I would start with Sunburst Finish. Amazing. From there, this is a really solid album, but I think just based on the album cover, you can kind of tell where they're going. This came out later in '76, and this is Modern Music. Again, that album cover, you can tell where they're going here with kind of getting away from the, early glam stuff and definitely leaning in more into the new wave and what's about to come here in a little bit, but still a great record. I do think the highlight of this is the Modern Music sort of suite that is played on the second side that ends with Make the Music Magic, and especially the extended sort of outro that they do down on Terminal Street are absolutely amazing. But again, you can kind of tell where they're going from here. On that tour, they released this banger of a live album. I recommend this live album to anybody. You can find it really, really inexpensive in a lot of record stores. I'm talking $5-6. This is a Record Store Day issue that came out a couple years ago where they extended it into a 3 LP, and that is Be-Bop Deluxe Live in the Air Age from the Hammersmith Odeon 1977. So this is on that Modern Music tour. Again, adding that additional record here, giving you 3 LPs. Just absolutely awesome, killer live record. Again, Bill Nelson is just a complete freak, out of control in the best way possible. If you see this in the bins, pick it up. It's absolutely amazing. And again, really sort of encompasses all of that career, from the heavier, glamier stuff to the progressive, artsy pop stuff into more of the accessible pop stuff of what would come later. And then last, they put out 5 studio records and 1 live album, but the last was Drastic Plastic from 1978. And this is not a great record. You can definitely tell that they are moving completely into new wave area here. Very different than what their original sound was. And Bill Nelson, I think, also had his foot halfway out the door with this for what was going to come later, in which he put out a record under, what was it, Bill Nelson's, was it Red Warning? Something like that, which was full new wave. So yeah, they're definitely leaning into this. Not a great cover there, but you can kind of tell that background again. It's like it's looking more like Devo than like a progressive sort of artsy rock band. But yeah, this was their last. That came out in '78. Drastic Plastic, and yeah, and that was it. Bill Nelson still just went on and just ripped everything apart in the best way. Again, I think one of the unsung heroes of the guitar and of songwriting. And I think Be-Bop Deluxe is one of the unsung heroes, especially sort of that proto new wave sound. I think when you talk about bands like XTC or bands like Ultravox or Talk Talk or a lot of those types of bands, I think a lot of them really, really cut their teeth on music from Be-Bop Deluxe. So that is my choice for the catalog I will show. And again, Jack, cheers, my man. Thanks again for doing this contest and for all your service and to putting your money in such a great place. Please be sure to check out Jack and his channel over at the Vinyl Martini. Of course, I have, obviously, I love channels that influence or that infuse alcohol in records. It's kind of my thing. So check out Jack at the Vinyl Martini, check out Anthony Gambler 812, and check out Joe over at Racer Records. All amazing channels and all amazing people. And I will see you all on the next one. Have a great day now. Cheers. Later.